How's everybody? Sit down, I only have 8 minutes. To Neil Bush and Tracy Hoover, I just want to say thank you to all of the Points of Light. I'm honored to be here, and thank you so much. You know, as I started thinking about Points of Light and what this event represents, I started thinking about all of the people in my life who were just that. People who let their light so shine before me in some of my darkest times. I grew up in New Orleans. My mother worked as a daycare assistant at the Jewish Community Center. The man that I was told was my father was a carpenter and a functional alcoholic. He was abusive to my mother and so needless to say, for most of my younger years, I was angry. And by the time I entered into adolescence, I was furious. God knew I needed points of light. So he gave me a praying mother. Not more than a baby herself, when she married this man, she tried her best to protect me from him. But with no life skills of her own, she did what she knew how to do. But oh, how she loved me. Friday was payday for him, so he would come home happy. But that was short-lived. He would go out and return a few hours later drunk and angry, yelling and fighting her. And as I watched in horror, God knew that this little boy needed points of light. This happened every Friday and every Saturday night, but come Sunday morning, my mother would come in the room and wake me up, shake me in my chest and say, "Come on, baby, let's go to church." When we get there, I would see my mother up in the choir singing, happy, rocking, talking about, "Thank you, Jesus." I remember being a little boy wanting to know this God, this Jesus that made my mother so happy. She said, "Baby, I'm gonna teach you how to be a Christian, the real one. You know, the ones with flaws, that makes mistakes, the ones that God himself used in the Bible, that kind. Not these perfect pretending holy rollers," she called them, you know. She taught me that God loved me. And oh, what a point of light he has been for me. Now, I'm sorry, I know it's not politically correct to talk about God and faith these days, but oh well, they gave me a microphone. Thank you for allowing me to be myself. It was my mother teaching me about God and faith that allowed me to forgive my father and also to be able to understand them both. Now that I'm older, I realize that my parents had no examples. They were two wounded children trying to raise a wounded child. Years later, I would enter into show business not knowing that I was carrying a desire to share what I had learned and witnessed growing up. Not knowing that the very people that had made me laugh and made me cry and made me happy, made me sad, and literally had made me were showing up in my work. Their lives, their stories, their hopes, their dreams, their despair were all on display in my films and my storytelling. I only wanted to bring laughter and light now because I had seen so much darkness growing up. I was writing about things that were raw and guttural, my own experiences, so much so that it made the critics uncomfortable. It was crass and abrasive to the trained eye. Offensive, they called it. But while they were writing their reviews, I was receiving emails and likes on Facebook by the millions from people all around the world who got it. Like the letter I got from a woman who said, "My sister saw Diary of a Mad Black Woman, and you did in 2 hours what my family has been trying to do for 12 years. She's leaving an abusive relationship." Yeah. It was a point of light. Or the letter that I got from a mother of a little boy in Houston who has autism, and she was telling me that it's my shows that keep him calm enough to go to sleep in the evening. A point of light. Or the single mother who sent me an email saying that she had it and she was going to commit suicide. She rented a hotel room and she wanted to spend the last day with her kids. So she brought them to this hotel and she said, "Anything you guys want to do, you let me know." One of them said, "I want to watch one of Tyler Perry's plays." So they watched the show. And after they watched it, she was no longer depressed. She found herself laughing and happy and joyous. And she no longer wanted to commit suicide. That's a point of light. It feels great to be able to lift people on this level, but you also have the power to lift people even if you don't have this platform. As I look back over my life, there were many people that had a hand in shining light into my darkness when I was growing up. Like Mr. Johnson, who lived next door to me. He told me that I was special. He bought me my first pair of nice dress shoes. They were wing-tipped leather, hand-stitched, and I hated those jokers. I wanted some Chuck Taylor All-Stars, but he was a point of light. And then there was my Aunt Jerry, who was the polar opposite of my mother when it came to men. This woman would shoot first and ask questions never. She taught me how to stand up for myself. She was a point of light with a good aim. And then there was Mr. Butler. Let me tell you how I met Mr. Butler. I had just started junior high school, and in order for me to get to high school, I had to walk through the drug dealers, literally step over the whores and the drug addicts, walk through a graveyard, then in the next block past gang members, and then go through the projects, and then come to a 6-lane intersection, and it was always busy, but just beyond that was the school. Well, one day as I'm approaching this intersection, I hear this voice saying, "Will someone help me cross?" He was in a suit. He had a cooler in a hand and a folded lawn chair in one hand and his cane in the other. "Will someone help me cross?" he said. People kept ignoring him, walking past him with their busy lives. We were poor, but we were busy. I don't know why poor people are so busy. I said, "I'll help you," in my 13-year-old changing voice. He said, "Well, thank you, son. May I have your shoulder?" I wish I had time to talk about giving your shoulder to somebody. I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Don't trick me now." I said, "No, sir, I won't." We crossed the street. I asked him where he was going. He told me that he was going to my school to sell praline candies to the kids. So I helped him to the school, and he said thank you, and he told me that God would bless me for my kindness. He and I became friends. We took that walk every day. I came out of school one afternoon, and there he was sitting outside in that lawn chair selling praline candies, 25 cents. And I saw one of the kids try to buy candy, right? And they gave Mr. Butler a dollar, and they told him it was a $5 bill. I stepped in, and I said, "Mr. Butler, this is a scam." Needless to say, I had a lot of enemies at that school. But it didn't matter. I was glad to do it. You see, Mr. Butler was one of the first men in my life to see me. And what made it all the more special is that he was blind. He was a point of light. One morning I was late meeting him, and as I walked up to the intersection, I could see Mr. Butler standing there, not saying a word. So I tipped up behind him, and I said, "I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to wait to see what happens." He said, "I know you're there, son." I said, "Yes, sir, I am." I said, "I didn't hear you saying, 'Will someone help me cross?'" He said, "No, I was listening for you." I said, "You were?" He said, "Yes. Sometimes in life, son, when you pray and you've said all you can say, all you have to do is stand and wait and listen." What a point of light he was. There are many people in this world that are wanting, waiting, saying, asking, begging, hoping, "Will someone help me cross?" We all have the power to be a point of light. Thank you, and God bless you. Appreciate it so much.